Purpose. No one can create your purpose for you. No one can tell you who to be. So in purpose, you have to create your own purpose. And in evolution, you have to evolve towards that purpose. It's easier to live when you have goals to meet. You understand? If you have goals to meet, then you don't feel so voided, and you understand why every day you're looking at this person in the mirror, because that is the cool part about the game. You get to be anybody you want to be.
All right, so we're
For those of you who don't know me, I ran a record label for about 20 years called Spin Art Records. Got to release bands like the Pixies, Echo and the Bunnymen, the Eels.
All right, here we go. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see you.
All right, cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, so everything's is my levels good or?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, let's get started. This is Brandon B. Dixon. I am the host of the Power of Ownership podcast. I got my guest host, Steven Contreras, here.
Hey, guys.
Right. We're coming to you live, well, semi-live. This is recorded. I'm going to dump it straight to YouTube after this. But it's the Power of Ownership podcast, where we talk about the ownership of businesses, property, intellectual property, also ownership of the mind, body, and the soul. I'm Brandon B. Dixon. I'm a published author, serial entrepreneur, mortgage broker, community activist, so on and so forth. I'm gonna let Steven Contreras go ahead and introduce himself, and let's go ahead and get it started. We're not gonna waste too much time. You guys should be getting to know us by now. If you hadn't, go ahead and look at some of our previous work. Our collection is getting pretty thick now. So we've been 6 months in?
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like that, huh?
Right. So 6 months in. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's go ahead and get started.
Hey guys, my name is Steven Contreras, geologist here in Houston, Texas. Happy to be here. I'm kind of like a Renaissance man, studying the arts and sciences, trying to push myself to the limit each and every day, and I'm trying to share the love and teach y'all how to do some of that stuff. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Gotcha. So, again, the Power of Ownership podcast. We want to talk about this week. It's been coming across a lot. We've been kind of heavily on the last few episodes, kind of on the more of the hard skills. The real stuff that you could use in the workplace or in your business, or in a setting. So if you guys have missed that, go back and look at some of our episodes about winning. We talked about competition. We talked about what was another great show. We talked about the winners. We talked about losers. We talked about hitters. So we talked about a lot of the hard stuff. I want to talk some soft skill stuff today, and this is, I want to say, the preface to everything. I think it's ownership of your flaws and owning your shortcomings in order to get to that next level. And just speaking from my experience, this was what, me owning my own business in my late 20s, starting my first business at 27, and just learning from all the mistakes, going through, success early, having an ego and seeing how the ego affects my business, allowed me to really reflect once I got out of that business, and I could kind of reflect and see all of my mistakes, and then really ponder on my mistakes and really reflect on my mistakes. And now in this business and future businesses now, I think I'm bigger, better, stronger, faster, and everything, because I had that reflection period where I could just sit there and be honest with myself. Like, hey, listen, this replay conversations that I had that didn't go well, replay business deals that I had that didn't go well, and like, hey, could this have been my fault, or what could I have done better to make this go the outcome that I wanted? What could I have done better when I turn here? I should have gone this way, or so just to reflect the whole period, a reflective period, and reflect your past mistakes or what you consider didn't go well, and be honest with yourself. That's the whole thing, is be honest. Get the ego out of the equation and just ask yourself,
Yeah.
like, hey, could this be me? Look at, inner reflect. Nobody's looking, so inner reflect and say, hey, could this be me? And see what can you have worked on and to get better. And that's kind of what made me where I am right now. And again, the journey never stops. But I'll go ahead and let you turn that over to you. I guess the question would be, how can you use these your inner flaws, or taking extreme ownership of your flaws to better yourself?
Yeah, just sometimes, just from my experience, like I said, like I've recognized my flaws for a long time. I know that I use the word I, but I mean, I understand what they are, and sometimes I don't want to do something if I don't have to do it. And I'm starting to realize, like, man, like if I don't do it, then no one else is going to do it, so I'm going to have to do it. So it's those learning lessons, like you said. Like I wrote a full-page movie script when I was 24 years old, and it was pretty good. It was like an Indiana Jones style movie based in a fantasy world, and the problem I had with it is I missed a couple of deadlines that were really important, and because of that, the movie studio went with something else and not my idea. And if I would have just pushed myself a little further, or would have just, like, instead of going out one time with my friends or something like that, and sat down and just finished it, we'd probably be watching my movie or be out already. So I learned a lot that day, because I've always had inspired creativity, and it's been really easy for me. But actually getting it to learn how to manage it all is always been a struggle. And I guess the best thing I can say is for other people's flaws, just you have to own them. Don't run from them. The demons are always still there. You got to learn how to fight them. And so until you learn how to master your demons and your flaws, then you can't actually be able to put what you're trying to do into full force, like 100%. You'd be like doing 65 or 70. Does that make sense?
I mean, right. Like I said, looking on the outside, looking in, just to go reflect out right fast. I think the common denominator why people fail and why people are average, and I want to plug this book as well, besides my book, and that's one thing I did forget to plug before I got here. My book, Sales the Nucleus of Any Profession, is out right now on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, so go ahead and cop that. I want to plug Grant Cardone's book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's one of my favorite books, from, I think it came out 2017.
Cool.
Great book. The premise of that book is that if you don't want to success, or whatever your goal is, more than you could breathe, then you're going to be average. Average is the new failure. Because anybody, I mean, really, just be honest with ourselves. Like, our poor has flat screen TVs in every room.
Mm-hmm.
That's poor in the United States.
Yeah.
So you got poor with the new LeBrons on.
LeBron does good work.
Right.
Really good work.
But our poor is like everybody else's middle class in the United States. So average is the new failure. And this on a cult as well. If you want to, let's deal in the metaphysical. The ones that really going to ascend is the ones that really make this huge splash. So if you're amongst everybody else, and you're living like the average Joe, I think you'll be back. I think the whole lesson is to transcend and rise above this whole thing, and to conquer this game. Going back to what I was saying is that I think the problem is with most people is that they never learn how to escape the ego.
Sure.
They never learn how to stop pointing the finger at everybody else and accept the blame for their own shortcomings. Staying back to what I said earlier, not only did I have to forgive myself, but I forgave everybody that I ever interacted with. I forgave my parents for not having the ideal household. What is the ideal household? Once you get into a higher learning thing, like what am I looking for? Any childhood traumas, you have to forgive your parents. You have to forgive your relatives. You have to forgive your friends for teasing you about certain stuff as a kid. All the trauma, you have to let those go and accept them and forgive everybody. And not only forgive everybody, forgive yourself. If you can forgive yourself, then you can move on. You can close that chapter in your life, get the positive out of it. What lessons did I learn? Now I can take these lessons to the next chapter and be wiser, stronger, faster, better, so on and so forth. But you got to take just as much accountability as you point the finger, is pointing to yourself as well.
Exactly.
So I'll let you go ahead and expand on that.
Yeah, it's really important. You have to be able to forgive everyone, because when you make a mistake, don't blame anyone else but you. Just an example from story is like the other day I was overloaded and I didn't mismanage, but I didn't do the best job I could have done, and I generally felt mad, and so I called the people and I'm like, hey, I apologize, that wasn't my 100% effort, and we'll do better, and that's what you have to do. You have to own it. It's no one else's fault but your own. If you get fired from a job, that's your fault. Things might happen in your life, but in the end, you need to handle it to the best of your ability, and generally it's that person's fault.
Right. I mean, you got to realize that everything is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in management, especially in business, everything is your fault. So that's one thing that we talked about in previous episodes, that your business won't outgrow you until you get to that point. A lot of people skip it, because I had a lot of background in management, went straight from college to management. So I already got that in my head, that everything falls back on me. It's my responsibility. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, no matter who you could blame. So the facts are the facts. If you lost money, I don't care nobody cares whose fault it is. You lost money. That's the bottom line. You can point the finger, but that still doesn't change the fact. So people that play the blame game have to realize that regardless to whom or what, you're responsible for the bottom line of this business. Everything is your fault. So that excuse I'm gonna blame him for my failures just because if I'd have did this, if somebody would have did this, such and so, if the government would have did this, if the Democrats would have did this, if the Republicans would have did this, whoever they blame, the facts are still going to be the facts, that you're responsible for your performance. You're responsible for the outcome of your business and the outcome of your life. Period. So no matter who you blame, I know it makes you feel better. Temporarily, that's like that Band-Aid. If I can blame somebody else, that makes the burden off my chest a little bit less. But it's still there. The results are still there. Mm-hmm. It's still your fault. So until you can own it, hey, this is my fault. Even if somebody has stabbed you in the back, damn, I should have been wiser to not hire that person. I should have been wiser not to get as closer to that person. How can I get better in the future? How can I see that person for who they are earlier before they get a chance to get to that point where they can affect me? Everything is your fault. So until you start that eternal, really deep spelunking into your inner core and figure out the root, you're never gonna be successful.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid either, right? You gotta keep on pushing.
Well, that's the ego that makes you afraid. Mm-hmm. The ego is fragile. The ego is very, very fragile. The ego has built yourself up to the Superman, and when it's really afraid, a scared child, scared to get hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Just like when you shelter a child, those lessons, makes that particular child tougher. So when you shelter and you put them in the real world, they're not prepared. They're going to fold.
But it's a big problem, actually, in today's society.
Right. And that's why we having a show. I'm addressing a lot of topics at once,
Right.
condensed. You know what I mean? But your ego is like that scared child. You got, a lot of people scared to experience love because they're scared to get hurt. A lot of people scared to get into a business because they're scared to fail. A lot of people scared to put themselves out there, put their 100% in because they're scared of failure. They're scared to get hurt. They're scared that it won't work. Well, it's the catch-22. How will you know if it don't work if you don't try? Or
Exactly.
They try half-heartedly, so they only try. And there's a lot of people I see too that have businesses and not going full strength on them. Not going, they're too proud, I guess, to, kiss the customer's butt. They're too proud to go all out with service. How do you have a business and you have bad customer service and you're not smiling every day? This is your dream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I see people like that all the time that have businesses and you're not putting 110% in. Don't want to work your own Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to, like you're the president. President at least works his own Twitter.
Yeah.
You're too big. You barely make it, and you're too important to work your own social media. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that's the thing, man. You gotta get over yourself. Get over your ego. The last point I want to make. We gotta. I want to go before I get to the third point. How can the question was how can you reduce your ego and be honest with yourself? It's a little bit different question. I want to address that.
Okay.
How to
I would say how to lower your ego. I mean, there's one thing that you can do. Like this is the overall medicine is always love. Number two would be the first step is how to fix your ego or lower your ego is you have to exercise. You have to exercise. You have to start eating healthy. You have to realize, like, man, if I can't take care of my physical body, then what is my mental health up to? Like, you have to be able to love, and even when people, like you say, even when people are hating on you, be like, hey, it's okay, just love more, because they just don't know. Their ego is so overwhelmed that the love has to be universal in all things. And then you have to be strong, you have to work out, you have to eat clean, you gotta get your body right to get your mind right, and that's how you can conquer your ego.
Right. The advice I would say how to reduce your ego is start studying some of these scriptures. I would say all of the scriptures, the Torah, the Injil, the Quran, the Veda, the Book of the Dead. Start studying these and look at the common theme. Also, look at your results so far. How has the ego, a high ego, outrageous ego, out of control ego worked for you so far? Thirdly, I would say is that get you some rest. Start sleeping well. Start really meditating and getting into this lucid dreaming and start getting into these other realms and stuff like that where you could see and you start realizing that, hey, this isn't all what I thought it was, what it was. It's more than meets the eye. And that helps you to kind of realize, that what exactly this is. So once you get into that meditative state and start getting to lucid dreaming and start seeing other stuff, then you can kind of, break loose of just this perception that we're in, this one perception. So that's kind of the hows on that. The last question, I want to just segue to the last question right fast so we can get up out of here. How does growing as a person put money in the bank? That's the final point.
I guess, so this is where I'm at in my life, is like, how do I get what I not deserve, because I don't think I deserve anything, but like, how can I get to a place where I can, I guess, provide for my family, and how do I become able to help other people? Where can I be to be able to donate to charities, to help the needy, you know. And the only way to do that is to be able to grow your business and be able to master it. And so once you've conquered all three of those things, then you kind of realize, like, no one's going to save me, you know. No, there's no shortcuts. There's nothing out there is going to be just thrown out for you. It's you give what you put in. So the more work you put into something, the more chances it is that you're going to be successful. And that's how you start growing. Is like, if someone is not turning in expense reports, you know, figure out why, figure out the pattern, see what's going on, and then fix it. You know, you have to be able to see, you have to be able to predict the trends that are going to happen, the problems. And that's when you really start to grow, and then you can just give it all back. And that's one of the goals.
I would say growth as a person, putting money in your bank, putting money in your back pocket, as simple as the old cliches. You get more flies with honey instead of vinegar. You get more, you get more, if you look at the first chapter of my book, is reciprocity. I mean, that's a universal law of Ma'at. It's just what it is. You can't usurp that law. So if you put into something, you're going to get out. So if you put negativity in, you're going to get negativity out. So it will behoove you to be a more positive person if you're expecting positive results. I mean, it's just a simple equation. You deposit. You can't expect to put $100 in the bank and expect to withdraw $1 million. It just doesn't work like that. If you put $1 million in the bank, then you could at least withdraw $1 million, plus your interest that you have left. So it's just what it is. So we got to realize that the results that I want, I'm going to have to put that into my business and into other people, because people most of the time are going to be the ones that's supporting your business. So it doesn't make any sense that, and I know we just going off what we see, our perception is our reality. You think you have to be some type of a tyrant or some kind of mean boss in order to run a successful business, and that's a farce. The most billionaires are the most down to earth, cool people that you could ever meet. They've grown extensively as a person. Because you have to be responsible for thousands of people eating. Dinner on it. That's a lot of responsibility. So what I'm saying is this: is that those soft skills, being nice to people, remembering their name, give a person a compliment, could go a long way. Buy a person a hamburger, stuff similar, small stuff like that. Those kind acts could generate massive amount of revenue later on. Because just like, let's take it on the employee level. Nobody likes to, be an employee. Some people have, affinity for that, but most people like to do their own thing. So, but if they're gonna be an employee, they want to know that their boss likes them and is cool with them. That way, they can work for them. So why, if you're an a-hole, it's counterproductive. You're shooting your own self in the foot. See how business and the universe works? Same thing as if you're a rude person and you're nasty to everybody in the neighborhood. Do you expect the neighborhood to like you?
Or it's like, hey, if their house is on fire, are they going to come and tell you?
Right. So you burned all those bridges by being, rude to everyone. How do you expect your funeral to be? If you've been rude and you burned everybody your whole life, who do you expect to come to your funeral?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with life and the same thing with business. You get out what you put in. If you were kind to people, you change people's lives. You're a positive mentor. You change, you change the trajectory of a person's path. You gave back. How do you expect your funeral to be then? How do you expect the people to actually be motivated to work for you and care about your deal when you didn't show that you care about their deal?
Yeah. It's amazing how the law of love can transcend something like that.
Right. So nobody talks about this quite the way the Power of Ownership
Yeah.
podcast talks about it.
Because that's what
Everybody's
it is.
numbers. You do this.
Yeah.
If you don't have this basic fundamental, showing a little compassion and empathy for your employee or a customer, vice versa. Same thing. How do you expect them to do business with you?
Exactly. It has to be. You have to give and get. Give a little, get a little. It's all there. We just gotta make it happen.
Right. I mean, I think it's part of the generation. Not to ramble too much, but I think it's definitely the ego. But how do you expect to? I just open up shop and I'm going to automatically become a millionaire. Where does that work?
It doesn't. It's impossible. But that's what they told us when we were kids.
Right. So. I just met this girl. Just because I'm me, she's gonna sleep with me. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to compliment her. I don't have to do anything. I have to take her out. Where is this coming from?
the instant gratification.
Instant gratification. The Amazon Uber Eats society doesn't happen. Just like look at this podcast. We went from filming on our phone. We gradually building it up. We still don't have the audience. It's gonna take us. I was looking at somebody the other day. I was looking at an interview. Said they did their podcast for 2 years before it started to take traction. Sometimes that's what it takes. Some people, and that's why most people fail. Is because they want instant gratification. They want to do one thing. Oh, I did it, and they want credit for me doing it. It doesn't work like that. You don't get credit unless you put money in the bank, and you won't put money in the bank until you grow as a person. If you're a sourpuss, you're gonna get sourpuss results.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's like you have to learn how to do it. You gotta learn how to love.
If you can't love, if you sour, the only way I can see that you could do it if you have a whole bunch of money where you can hire people. To be the front line. But most people don't have that type of money. If you're gonna start your business from scratch, you're gonna have to deal with people. You're gonna have to interact and deal and lead people.
Yep. Get out of your comfort zone.
You gotta get out of your comfort zone. It just is what it is. If you don't have those skills, those people skills, you're gonna fail.
Yep.
And that was a lesson that I had to learn. So I have the best product in the state. 2 states, probably the neighboring states too. Not enough. You can eat for a while, but eventually they're going to find ways the technology is going to get there where they could knock you off, and your competition is going to come, and competition could be even less quality than yours, but people will go or gravitate or patronize that particular business because they don't want to give you the money. It becomes personal.
And sometimes people don't even realize that, right? I didn't realize that for a long time.
Right. I mean, we don't. We sabotage ourselves. Like, we don't we do a half-hearted effort and expect, superior results. It doesn't work.
And I'd say, too, like, just for some personal advice for people who are trying to work with it, is like, in your surroundings, never lower yourself to your surroundings, right? You should always strive to be the best version of you as you can, because then you get stuck, because then now you're dealing with just the level of everyone else instead of trying to be the best that you can be.
Right. Well, to that note, you always, if you're the leader of your business, and that means anybody. That means if you're an independent contractor, if you own a corporation, if you just getting started, a caterer, whatever, you should always be and dress and act on your best behavior, where you want to see yourself paid as. So you dress according to how you want to get paid. If you dress like a slob and slouch and act like a slob, potty mouth, how do you expect to get paid top dollar? So you dress and act according to how you want to get paid. So if you're a high-end guy, you should dress high-end. I don't mean you have to have labels and stuff like that, but you want to be appropriately dressed, suit, tie, jacket, clean, neat, dry clean, so on and so forth. A corporate type feel if you want to be high end. If you want high end dollars. Doesn't make sense. I mean, unless you've already got it, you can't go into any office building and ask for $1 million check with flip flops and dirty T-shirt on with a stain on it.
It's true.
Who's going to cut the check? So that's just my point. We got to stop fooling ourselves, and we got to take ownership of the things that we do. We got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, like, hey, I am why I'm at where I'm at right now. Stop blaming grandma. Stop blaming mama. Stop blaming the ex-boyfriend, the ex-girlfriend. Stop blaming the ex-boss. Stop blaming the owner of the business. Stop blaming everybody else. If you take ownership of your own life and work on yourself and work on your flaws and change yourself, trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me. Just watch the results. So again, I'm not going to keep y'all too long. Any last remarks? Go ahead and take any last remarks and go ahead and give them your info so we can get up out of here.
Just never give up. It gets hard. Life spits you out a couple of times. You just learn from it. Never get discouraged and just keep on trying to be the best that you can be. Learn, love, have fun. We're only here for a short time, so might as well make the best of it. So you can find me at Steven Contreras 90 on Instagram, Steven Contreras on Facebook, and make sure you click that like button, subscribe to our videos, and y'all have a good weekend. All right.
Right. Again, final thoughts. I think I made my point. Get the book, Sales: The Nucleus of Any Profession. I don't understand how, if you're a salesperson, a business owner, that you don't have a copy of this book already. The best are always trying to get better. If you think you got it all figured out, I guarantee your business is on its deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
So the best are always trying to get better, and I learned this from my mentor. He's always constantly has consultants in to try to better the business, and he's always looking forward, not content and resting on his laurels. Once you do that, then I guarantee your business is about to go out of business. So with that being said, if you need a mortgage, www.hocmortgage.com. First time home buyers, if you're looking, now's the time to get started for the house for the next year. A lot of people wait till income tax time, but don't, know that they have any credit issues or anything like that. So let me take a look. Let's start getting a game plan together for next year when your lease expires in January. The next thing is BillionaireLoanOfficer.com, www.BillionaireLoanOfficer.com. You want to book me for a speech, motivational speech, sales training, mentorship, so on and so forth. BillionaireLoanOfficer.com is the way to do it. Sales: The Nucleus of Any Profession, available Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Kindle. Get it. Get your copy. Study it like the Bible. Period. thepowerofownership.org. If you want to get our newsletter that comes out monthly, go ahead and subscribe to that. Again, we're going to take you out. Remember, personal responsibility is your only savior, and God is a verb. And with that, we're going to say peace.
Peace, guys. Peace.